understand when I say that every one of us right now are going through some sort of difficulty. The world seems to be getting harder and harder. The paradise that was supposed to be earth is actually the jail that the Prophet ﷺ talks about when he says that this earth is a Jannah for the kafir and it is a hell for the believer. Life is kind of tough. So, and then the verses also speak about the punishments we receive, or the punishments that we receive from Allah, but as a consequence of our own doing, and how these punishments, we don't recognize a punishment as a punishment. We kind of ignore or reject these punishments, and thus, fail in achieving the purpose of that punishment. Okay, we start off with verse 61 and 62. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وهو القاهر فوق عباده ويرسل عليكم حفظه. He is the irresistible Allah. فوق عباده, watching from above you. وَيُرْسِلُ عَلَيْكُمْ حَفَظًا, and He sets over you, and He sends. وَيُرْسِل, He sends. عَلَيْكُمْ حَفَظًا, a guardian over you, a protector over you. Maybe an angel. Each and every one of us have got this protector over us. And the reference, the descriptive word here is حَفَظًا, like Hafid, a protector over us, to protect us. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ, and then when the time of death approaches one of you, تَوَفَّتْهُ رُسُلُنَا وَهُمْ لَا يُفَرِّطُونَ, our angels take his soul and they never fail in their duty. ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ, then our men return to Allah, their protector, the only reality. أَلَا لَهُ الْحُكْمُ وَهُوَ أَسْرَعُ الْحَاسِبِينَ. Is not His the command, and is He the swiftest in taking accountability, Asra'ul Hasibin. So, in just two verses, start of the section, it's the start of the section, Allah reminds us that there is a protector over each and every one of us. Every one of us have this hafiz, this hafiz, this guardian over us. And when our time of death comes, that guardian performs his duty, and none can stop him. And then finally we are returned to Allah, our only protector, the true reality, Al-Haq, is Allah, and He is swift to take into account. Then the set of verses go on to remind us of our trials. Say, who is it that delivers you from the dark recesses of land and sea, when you call upon Him in humility and silent terror? If He, Allah, only delivers us from these dangers, we vow we shall truly show our gratitude. Say, it is Allah that delivers you from these and all other distresses, and yet you make shirk, you give partners to Allah. So the first reminder is a reminder of death. The second is a reminder of our difficulties. All of us are going through some difficulty or the other. And when you are going through a difficulty, what do? You pray more. You spend more. You give more. Somebody gets sick in the family. What happens? There's so many du'as and so many prayers. The yasins are out and the salahs grow longer. And then Allah says, قُلْ إِلَّهُ يُنَجِّيكُمْ. He is the one that removes these troubles from you. And then what happens after He removes the troubles from you? Then you make shirk. You make partners from Allah. You forget Him. You stop thanking Him. The same salahs you were praying last week are now forgotten. The same extra Quran you were reading is forgotten. That same desires and fears you had are forgotten. The person is well, and now you go back to your normal daily lifestyle as it was before. So you've learned nothing from this trial. Now, like I said, this is Surah 6, verses 61 to 70, it's a section. The first two verses remind us of death. The second reminds us of the difficulties and trials we go through, and how we fail when in these difficulties and trials, we don't become closer to Allah through these difficulties. But rather we forget that through those difficulties, it is Allah who has answered us. Now, this is why I want to do this set of verses, because in the midst of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes now a bit stern and firm. You know, in this world, nobody likes firmness. You know, when I was teaching at Al-Asr, you couldn't shout kids anymore. You can't discipline anyone anymore. Teachers' hands are tied, chopped. And you find it difficult. When you can't smack your own child and put him on the right track, what are you going to do? You're going to negotiate your way with... So it's hard. So sometimes firmness is necessary. And all this, Allah is telling us, you are coming back to me. ثُمَّ رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. We're going to die and then you're coming back to me. Your true reality. When you were in difficulty, you called me and I answered you. Then Allah gets firm. Allah says, قُلْ هُوَ الْقَادِرُ عَلَىٰ أَن يَبْعَثَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Say, He has power to send you عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابًا مِّن فَوْقِكُمْ أَوْ مِن تَحْتِ أَرْجُلِكُمْ. Say, He has power to send you punishments or calamities from مِن فَوْقِكُمْ, from above you, وَمِن تَحْتِ أَرْجُلِكُمْ, and below you. أَوْ يَلْبِسَكُمْ شِيَعًا وَيُذِيقَ بَعْضَكُمْ بَعْضَ بَعْضٍ. Or to cover you with confusion in party strife, in divisions, giving you a taste of mutual vengeance each from the other. See how we explain, see how we انظر كيف نصرف الآيات. See how we show you our ayat. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَفْقَهُونَ. So you might understand. Now Allah gets firm. Allah says, you cry to me and I answer you. Somebody is sick, you pray. Business is down, you pray. The rain goes down, you pray. Things, you start praying. And then you forget Allah. And Allah is warning, Allah just says this. He doesn't say, I'm going to do it. He says, I have the power to send punishments to you from above you and below you. And I can, the other punishment, you know, one of the most serious and toughest punishments is divisions. And that itself is a punishment. So Allah says, min fawq adhab, punishments, min fawqikum or min tahti arjulikum, above you or below you. Or I can send you this divisions, this party strife. And you know, when you look around us in the world today, what do we see? What do we see? What is the glaring punishment that you can see that is staring us in the face, that is destroying the world, not only South Africa? Divisions, party strife. Not even in South Africa, but in our own communities. What is destroying humanity? Division upon division. Racism, economic differences, class distinctions, aqidah differences, religious differences, intolerances. I mean, wherever you're on the television, there's wars taking place everywhere that have been fueled by intolerance. Yet Allah reminds us so often that human beings are created of one, Adam and Eve. These divisions, so Allah says that when you turn away from me, when you forget your death, when you forget how many times you called on me when you're in trouble, and now you neglect me, and now you don't acknowledge me the way you acknowledged me last week. Last week you were asking me, you had this trouble, and I answered you, and now you've stopped acknowledging me. That is a kufr. That is a shirk. And one of the consequences of that is the divisions that we are seeing throughout this earth. Now, before I just go on this, look at the next verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, right in the next verse, وَكَذَّبَ بِهِ قَوْمُكَ وَهُوَ الْحَقِّ. But your people reject this idea. قُلْ لَسْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ بِوَكِيلٍ. Tell them, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are not their wakil, you are not their lawyer. You are no one's lawyer. وَكَذَّبَ بِهِ قَوْمُكَ وَهُوَ الْحَقِّ. You know, people don't like to listen to this person is being punished. This is a punishment. You know, people are suffering. If I were to say that, yeah, drugs, we've got drugs in our community and so high crime, the crime rate in our community is phenomenal, you know. The divisions are terrible, you know. We are being punished. People don't like to hear that. What are you talking? This is not a punishment. Come on. How can you say that? We're all good people. This is a calamity, brothers. The crime we're going through is a calamity. You know, when they steal a purse from somebody, that's understandable crime. When people get killed in their own homes every week, it's a calamity. The crime we have is a calamity. And calamities are not something that just come about. This is a punishment. This is an eye-opener. This is something to wake us up. To wake us up, you know, we want to get rid of crime. So what's the first thing we do when there's crime? And the crime heats up, then we start the sector policing. The sector policing starts. And we start something else. Don't we investigate in our own selves, in our own communities, what are we doing for Allah? Are we acknowledging Allah? Are we sincere as Muslims? Are we sincere? Are we active in the society? Are we pleasing Allah? Have we turned away so much from Allah that these are punishments? The drought is a punishment. The crime is a punishment. The drugs is a punishment. AIDS is a punishment. وَكَذَّبَ بِهِ قَوْمُكَ وَهُوَ الْحَقُّ. And people say, no, this is not punishment. You know, it is El Nino. You know, El Nino came from South America with a new weather pattern, so it was drought. No, whether it was El Nino or his fire, it doesn't matter. Allah has allowed it. Allah has let it come upon us. Why? Examine yourself. Examine your neighbors. Examine your brothers and your sisters' family lives. What Allah said in the first two verses when we started, your death is there. Allah has sent the protector over you, and your death is coming. And before this death comes, you're going to go through many trials. And every time you're going to cry to Allah, and you're going to acknowledge Allah's power. Oh Allah, you can help me, you can save me. And then when He removes, Qulillahu yunajjikum, He is the one who's going to save you. Then you're going to commit shirk. How are you going to commit shirk? You're going to forget Him. The one who helps you in your difficulties, you forget Him. You remember Him when you're crying, but then you forget Him when you stop crying, when the difficulty is over. And that deserves punishment. Now, punishment itself, difficulties. We're all going through difficulties. The whole world is going through difficulties. Like I said, one of the most dangerous punishments that we can receive is party strife or divisions. It's one of those punishments that we can receive. And for that, why do we go through these punishments? Just going to give you a simple example. Before you, this is in chapter, it's the same surah that I was doing, like surah 6. Like I said, for those who came in, this surah 6, verses 61 to 70. If you can go home and read it. Surah 6, verse 42 to 43. Before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we sent messengers to many nations, and we afflicted the nations with suffering and adversity, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَضَرَّعُونَ, that they might learn humility. When the suffering reached them from us, why then did they not learn humility? I mean, what is the difficulty you are going through right now in your life about? You know, when a man suffers, you know, somebody suffers. At the end, you're going to see something that you've achieved. Imagine you suffer and achieve nothing out of it. Imagine you work hard the whole day and you make no profit at the end of the day. What a waste of a business. When you go through suffering, there is an outcome. It's an outcome-based situation for you. Suffering is simply to teach you humility. Take your life now and record your life. Do a test on your life. Are you humbler now than you were a year ago? Are you humbler now than you were 6 months ago? Does humility grow in you, or does arrogance grow in you? Look at our societies and the general ethos in our society. Has our society in Lothian become humbler or more arrogant in the past 10 years? And then you will find why we are being punished. These difficulties are there to bring us to humility. Yet we grow in arrogance. We're flourishing. We're a flourishing community. And this arrogance is something that will lead to our downfall. And sometimes you might forget and say, no. This is whatever reason. I'd like to just highlight one very important historical example. You see, the Bani Israel, the children of Israel, they suffered from apartheid in Egypt. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds them of this. They were suffering from apartheid. The Egyptians were oppressing the Israelites. The Egyptians are oppressing the Israelites. So who was the guilty party? The Egyptians. Now listen. And remember, we delivered you, O children of Israel, from the people of Pharaoh. They set you hard tasks and punishments. يَسُومُنَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ, hard tasks and punishments. يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. They killed, slaughtered your sons and let your womenfolk live. Therein was a tremendous trial from your Lord. وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. Allah allowed this. It was a tremendous trial. It was a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah didn't punish or oppress the children of Israel. The Egyptians that did it. But Allah allowed it for the Israelites to learn, to attain certain attributes, to test their patience. And Allah rewarded them with being the chosen people on earth. And Allah gave them great victories. Under King Sulaiman alayhi salam, they're one of the greatest communities that ever traversed this earth. So these punishments and these trials are a reality. And when we see suffering, and when we are suffering and we are going through difficulties, yes, pray to Allah. But look at your own life. There's some reformation needed. Don't lose the difficulty you are going through without any reformation. What a waste it would be. Yet, even if you got sick, and you went through some serious sickness and you came out of it, and if you didn't change your life, then you are totally blind and totally ignorant to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have lost an opportunity. You've suffered for nothing. The pain you went through was for nothing. Let that pain be a means to get closer to Allah. And the simple thing that you can do, build on your humility. لِكُلِّ نَبَعٍ مُسْتَقَرٍ وَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. For every message there is a limit of time, and soon shall you know it. Every people has a limit of time. Every community has a limit of time. We started off speaking about death, about trials and difficulties, and the power of punishments Allah will mete out to us if He decides. And right now we are going through these difficulties. And it's an eye-opener. Every difficulty is an eye-opener for you to become a better human being. And a better human being means a more humbler human being. Let us never forget that. The most powerful power in this, when we talk of power, sometimes we forget that, we think that power is about this big position, No. In Islam, who is the most respected human being in Islam? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who is the most respected human being in Christianity? Nabi Isa alayhi salam. What can we say about these people? What is the mark of these people? Humility. This is the example, this is the legacy. The difficulties we are going through is just there to teach us humility. The way we talk sometimes, the way we behave, is so arrogant. We look at our community, the crime and the drugs and so much of evil in our community. And it's not here in Lodium, it's a global thing we are going through right now. The racism, everything. And it is simply because human beings are growing in arrogance instead of growing in humility. It's clear from the Quran. Save yourselves by being more humble. There's 2 more verses, but inshallah we'll continue another day. So just to recap for our brothers who came late, it's Surah 6, Surah An'am, verses 61 to 70. It's a whole section, a whole ruku. reminding us of our death, that Allah has given us a protector, and that protector, when your time is up, He will take your soul, and He will not hesitate in taking your soul, and He will not fail in His task. Then Allah reminded us of the difficult trials we go through, and every time we have a trial, we turn to Allah and ask Him, and He answers us. And when He answers us, sometimes we commit shirk by not keeping up with our humility, by not keeping our close contact with Him, by changing, by not allowing our lives to be changed by difficulties. Then Allah warns us that if He has the power to give us punishments from above us, from below us, and He has the power to give us punishments of party strife, divisions, and that's what we are seeing today. And when we see these difficulties, let us not just blame the world, let us look inside ourselves, in our families, in our communities. How can we become better Muslims, better human beings, to get closer to Allah, to avert and change the condition? When you change the condition in the society, the most common phrase in Islam, you cannot change people until you change yourself. It's a verse from the Quran, simple. You cannot change the condition of the people until you change yourself. So when there's a difficulty or a sickness or a financial problem or divisions, look at yourself. How can I make myself better? How can I be more humble? How can I be more respectful? How can I pray more salah? How can I give more charity? How can I be more generous? These are the issues. Look at yourself. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.